you doing, my friends? Well, it seems like a long time. I'm not tying my soul to the downward grind.
Hello, welcome to It's a Jim Morrison Artifact Hour. No, I'm sorry. This is the Tony Talks Trash about music, and it's just me and Dino here trying to have a good time. And really, we're going to be today talking about Warren Zevon and our favorite 10 songs. And I know that Warren Zevon didn't ring as loud of a bell as we thought it would. We're still going to keep the faith with it and realize that some of you people need to make your way to Warren Zevon. But you need to check that video out. There's a lot going on there. And he's really a mighty talent that's super underrated. And I know, Dino, you have much more than I'd have to say about that subject.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We talked about it when we did the Zevon album rankings, and yeah, one of the best American songwriters that we had, I think, over the years. In the whole body of work. Some hits and misses on certain albums, and always worth a listen. Some absolutely classic albums, front to back. Uh, some, like I said, hits and misses, but I think one of the best truly American songwriters that we've ever had in pop.
And I think you can tell by the respect of his peers, he had the respect again of Springsteen,
Everybody. I
a lot
mean,
of
and once
Dylan.
again, I gotta shout out Billy Joel, who's been ceaselessly trying to get him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's one of those people that should have been in 15 years ago. I don't understand when I look at some of these people that have been put in the Rock Hall of Fame what they've done that could possibly surpass what Warren Zevon accomplished years
Uh,
ago.
yeah, it's all in sales and different things. I don't
It
even,
it is. It's more commercially backed anymore.
doesn't mean a lot. Well, we're going to count down our 10 favorite from his vast.
Tracks.
And a
Yeah.
lot of mine's weighted again, probably towards the early stuff because it's what I know the best.
You
But
sure? Oh,
I'm going to go ahead
absolutely.
and start and throw a contrary bone into that mixes. And my number 10 is going to be I Was in the House When the House Burned Down from Life Will Kill You. Uh,
Great,
and
that great tune.
probably one of the newer ones that I liked. I had a few other ones that I had that are festering outside here, but I could have probably done 20 easily. Some of these were hard to hard to go, and I'm still cut out some of the ones, but I try to get rid of most of the obvious ones as far as what people would know, but not deliberately. I'm just I try to take myself out of it. And just as I said that, now my next one will be kind of a Captain Obvious. But okay, well, that's my number 10, man. I Was in the
my
House from
my number 10, The Mutineer.
oh my God,
Uh,
yes. Oh,
Mutineer is in my 10. That's my number 10. I mean, I've got 30 tracks that could be on this
I
top
figured
10.
you
Yeah.
figured
But
you'd
I,
have
I,
it.
I went with Mutineer. Uh,
Did you? And that was one of the ones he played live a lot in his later shows.
yes, yes. And I think that was the one that was also covered. Uh, 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 One of his songs that were covered in the last 15 years.
Well, I know that Dylan played actually a couple of songs.
Dylan played it. He loved it. Yeah, he loved
Wow.
it too. That
Wow.
was my number 10, The Mutineer.
All right, for my
Mutineer.
number 9, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back, just the irony of the whole thing and the silly popness of it. But I'm going to go with "Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me" from the very first record. I like his recording of that a lot, hell of a lot.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
That, although the band's pretty much the same. The band on, the cut,
Pretty
that's pretty
pretty
much
much the same group.
the
That
same
Southern
group.
California, I call it the Southern California Mafia.
Yeah, but
It's
great. This is just a great recording of it. I like the spirit of it more than probably anything. And I could have changed a couple. I could have put the factory in there or something.
oh yeah.
Close. It's a close thing for me, but anyway, that's my number 9. That was my number 9. Poor, poor, pitiful me from the debut.
My number 9, Desperados Under the Eaves.
Oh boy.
That's a lot, and he's written about it before. That's his struggle. There's a lot about his struggle with alcoholism. That's uh,
Uh,
Desperados Under the Eaves, and you
well,
know, uh,
Yeah, I'll visit that one later in mine. That's one of
Yeah,
my.
I was some of my, I was sitting in the Hollywood Hawaiian Hotel. I was staring in my empty coffee cup. I was thinking that the gypsy wasn't lying. All the salty margaritas in Los Angeles, I'm going to drink them all up, you know? So he was literally in the throes of that serious alcoholism, which he struggled with his entire career, his entire life.
Gee, what a great one. Yeah. Okay. My number. That was your number 9. My number 8 is going to be from. We're going to go to Excitable Boy for "Accidentally Like a Martyr." I love the song.
Yeah,
It was just
that's a great. It's one of
and
my.
a little obvious. I may be a little obvious with my stuff after all with some of this stuff, but I liked. I always liked it. It was a feature in the set. It was a feature in the live set too. So
Yeah,
right.
it's fantastic. That's your number 9.
My 8.
Number 8. Okay, your number 8. My number 8 is well, I'm going. It's really hard, but "Tenderness on the Block" at 8 from Excitable Boy,
That's great.
which you'll see pop up. You know,
That's what I'm figuring as
she's
one.
she's got a young man waiting. You know.
He's
So
just
yeah,
so.
that's my number 8. I went between that and another track, a more recent track, but that had to be in there because I listened to that constantly when it came out. Uh,
Yeah, I felt bad because some of the albums I kept thinking about a lot,
yeah.
like for a hint, Carmelita just missed mine too because I just thought it
Oh,
was
it's great.
too many from the first record. I'm just like, man, which one? All right, my number 7 is going to be from you. You think you mentioned that you like this record particularly, and I kind of do too.
Right,
The one with a little bit more reliant in the days of the Hindu love gods. We're talking about
right.
the or Virgin Records, Sentimental Hygiene, and Detox Mansion. One of my favorites from that, Detox Mansion from Sentimental Hygiene. That's my number 7.
Number
Again,
7.
about being again. To me, his best songs are about his self confessional loss of power of grips over things. It's amazing how lucid he was, and then you hear the ratings about his behavior in the biographies and stuff, and how he goes into the department store and just tears through the black T-shirts until he gets all the lucky ones, or whatever.
Yeah, he was obsessive compulsive about things.
That's funny.
And so that's your number
That's
7.
Evan, I love it. I just love the guitar and everything in it. It's great.
Oh, it's great. It's a heavy track. My number 7 from a much maligned album, early album. I like other tracks on this album, but something about when I first put it on, I think it's the lead off track. It's called "Bad Luck Streak" in
Uh-huh.
Dancing School. "Bad Luck Streak" in Dancing School. Down on my knees in pain.
Uh-huh.
Swear to God I'll change, and he never did. So
I remember.
I've always loved that track. I've
Me too.
always something
I can't
about
believe I
it.
didn't think about it on this. I didn't think about that album that much. I should have thought about it more.
Bad Luck Streak and Dancing School, the title track, which nobody ever really cites, but I did at number 7.
Wow. Wow. Um, well, that's going to be now. We're going to number 6 for me,
Yeah.
and I don't remember exactly which record this is from, but maybe you can help me. Run Straight Down. It's from one of the ones that I think it may be. Is it from uh, Transverse City? I think it
Yeah, I
is.
think it is from
And
Transverse City.
it's at the end of the one thing. It's just when. And I imagine a lot of people would hear it and be tired of the synthesized sound or whatever the rhythm or whatever the thing was going. But to me, it kind of reached a crescendo there. I like the record a lot. I don't mind it. That's one of my songs that I like from that record. I like Transverse City too. Also,
Yeah,
that's
and
one of them's got one of them's got
Splendid
Jerry.
Isolation is another one from there
Yeah,
that
Splendid Isolation.
everyone really likes. And
Yeah,
it's a great song.
yeah, that was the
Uh,
single. That yeah, I like Run
yeah.
Straight Down. My favorite. That's my number 6.
That's your number 6. My
Yep,
number 6 is Detox Mansion,
good
from
man.
from
Good.
Sentimental Hygiene, but it was neck and neck with "Reconsider Me" from that album,
Oh
which
my
is
God.
fantastic track.
And that's your number six?
My number six is "Detox Mansion."
What's funny about that song that you just mentioned, because that's my number five, Reconsider Me from
Wow.
16.
So you
And
went back to back. You really like that? Yeah, you went back.
I got
Great.
Sentimental Hygiene. I Detox Mansion at seven, Run Straight Down at six, and Reconsider Me at five. So yeah, that whole era there, boom, boom, boom. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
there's another great track, that "Boom Boom Mancini"
yeah,
off
that
that
just
album.
missed mine too, man. That's a good number.
Yeah, I mean it's there's so much to squeeze in. It's very difficult, you know.
He's awesome.
So wow, so your number five
Was
was
Reconsider
"Reconsider Me." Wow,
great, great
off of
playing it.
"Sentimental Hygiene." That was kind of a comeback album in the '80s. Played that a lot on. We played that a lot on college radio. I
Yeah,
did, you
I
know.
think Virgin dropped the ball. They could have promoted that stuff a little harder. Them and NRBQ and the whole bunch there at the
Right.
end.
I think was that on Giant or Virgin? I think it
It
was
was
Virgin.
on Virgin. Yeah, it
You
was on
have
Virgin
that. Yeah,
when they had the Keith Richards record and all that. Yep, yep.
exactly. So my number five is the title track from an album called "Excitable Boy."
You mean your number what? Your
My
number five?
number
Yeah.
five.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great one.
Yeah, your number five was "Reconsider Me."
Right. Your number five
My
is yeah.
number five is "Excitable Boy" from
Oh,
the album "Excitable Boy."
that's a
So,
great record. I've heard that so much. I love it, man.
oh yeah, front to back, yeah,
No
front to
surprise.
back. That album, like I said, all thriller, no filler. It's the best. It's right there, and I think that was my when we did the album countdown. That was I'm pretty sure that was my favorite album. Was "Excitable Boy." That was
Yeah.
number one
Yeah.
for me.
Well, my number four is going to show up in an album that I probably have appreciation. A lot of people do not, and that is the title track from The Envoy. That's
The
my number.
Envoy's a great album. Yeah.
That's my number four. I just am intrigued with the song and the mystery of it and the
Oh yeah.
way it is and the way he presents it and his always twist on things and just I just love the space in it. I just think it's great. I think it's really good. I think it reminds.
His take on the geopolitical situation all over the world. He read a lot. He was very tied in, and that the envoy he got a letter that was written to him when that album came out, and he got it was and I can't remember exactly how it happened. There it is. It was inspired by
Oh yeah,
Philip Habib,
yeah,
you
right.
know,
Yeah,
and he got a letter from him, you know, sent a note of appreciation for the song on State Department stationery. Zevon got that, you know, and he thought that was one of his prized possessions. Like, hey, I who else writes a song about the geopolitical situation in the world like Warren Zevon does. Even the earlier things off Excitable Boy were all international references that he had claimed, you
that's
know, and he had studied. He read a lot. He was a
yeah. That record freaked everybody out. I think it
the
every
envoy.
yeah. Like, or what the hell's this? You know, they weren't expecting that at all.
They weren't expecting that from him, but that was
No,
his. Now that was your number
that
four.
number four, man. We're getting into the meaty stuff now.
Yeah, my number four is "Accidentally Like a Martyr." So,
We're on the same
yeah, so I had to go that way. I mean, it's a fantastic track. I
lyrics
mean,
are just beyond belief. Yeah, they're great.
yeah, it's that's my number four.
It's not a surprise. That's from the Excitable Boy record.
Yeah, Excitable Boys everywhere.
I'm gonna go to the first one again, which I'm really fond of, and I'm
For
going to go
number three,
my number three. I'm going to go to the first record for. I don't know if everybody likes this, but I always like it. French Inhaler. I think it's one of my
French
favorites.
Inhaler is a classic track.
That's that's just one of my. This is so
Wow.
classic Warren. I mean, it just when I think about him, I think about that sound. That's the that's the Warren.
It's and that's that for that album they wrote the self-titled, that was a great album too,
Oh no,
front to back.
no doubt, and
And
very well
French,
played. Everybody, you know, it was they laid back enough to give the songs room to breathe, and they really did. I love it. That's what a great song that is. That's my number three,
yeah.
Taylor.
Wow. My number three, going back to the well, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner.
First row.
So
Uh, no, that's
I'm
Excitable Boy.
very obvious. So Excitable
Yeah,
Boy is I mine it all the time, and it's a shame because there's so much other great material, but that's the first album I ever bought fresh on vinyl when I was in high school, and that's the one I go back to.
you just
You
don't
know,
forget that track, man. That track just stays with
no,
you. And
that is the last song he ever played in public.
oh,
Letterman asked him, "What do you want to hear?" And he said, "I want to hear Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner." And
wow, we man.
just
Well, that's my. It's funny you're saying this, man, because that's my number two too. That you,
wow,
your number three is my number two. Roland, of course it is. With a song of that monumental scope, I mean, that's one of the songs that, like, when you
wrote
talk,
that in Spain.
yeah, when you talk about what your oeuvre is and what your greatest accomplishments are. I mean, you can sum a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
it playing that song. I mean,
yeah,
it's like you
it's
don't
got
get there,
everything.
you don't get there by accident. It's you might
No,
be spoon and drunk and everything else, but I mean the talent in that song and the twist of words and the poignancy of the message is just is something else, man.
I mean I've seen live versions of that, but that version on Letterman, that hour,
See that?
and him just sitting at the piano, and Dave knowing it was probably the last time he would see him and the last time he would hear him. Uh, and
Oh my God.
he was so excited. You know, he's like, he goes, "What do
Boy.
you want to hear?" And he said, "Well, you know what I want to hear." And that was his request is
Boy.
Roland.
So he
So,
already David told him that it was one of his favorite songs, I guess.
oh yeah, he's always admitted it. He's admitted it since and before. I mean,
I knew he was a fan. Yeah, I didn't know.
he was a completist. I mean, he'd been
Oh
a fan since he lived in L.A. I think whenever
yeah.
the first time he heard Warren, I mean, he was attached instantly, even before the show. He was always Dave's got really good musical taste. He always has. You
Oh
know, a
yeah.
lot of the bands that you saw on late night or the late show, they came from it wasn't just the talent bookers, it was Dave going, we've got to have these guys on the show, and boom, the next thing you
Yeah.
know they're on there. So he's always had very good musical taste.
I saw him there all the time. I saw him book. He's always had Todd on. He had different people on.
Oh,
I was
yeah, of course.
Costello and people like that. Yeah.
Yeah, always, of course. Anyone you could imagine, whether they were hot or they were, not a charting band, it was a band that he liked. He would, in all genres, rock, country, synth pop, whatever. If he liked them, they were on the show, if he wanted them on there. So that's your number two is
That's
Roland.
my two. Yeah, that was two.
My number two is a song that you hit on way back, and that is "Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me" off Warren
There
Zevon.
you go. Good.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean he just killed it on that album, and
Oh, it is.
I love Linda's version, and I love the
Yeah.
fact that she was an absolute champion for his writing,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and
Well.
she helped him. I mean, when you buy someone's song, if you're a writer,
Yeah.
I'm not doing well. You take my song and you make it a top 10 hit. I'm getting paid.
And she's one of the very few that were out there that were in Hollywood that really wasn't a writer, wasn't writing, wasn't singer songwriter. She was a singer, but not
She
a.
was a singer, but not. But I'll tell you what, she aligned herself with really
Oh,
good songwriters.
she knew good songwriter. Yeah, she was close to Zappa and Low George and all
She
those Little Feet and all those. She knew everybody.
she had great musical taste too. Linda
Absolutely.
did. You know.
Absolutely.
So I love his version. I love hers, but I still think his
I'm
inches
with.
her is out. The poor,
I'm.
poor, pitiful me at two.
Well, it's funny the way you talked about me going back for a long time because you rolled my number one off pretty quickly and yours too, and that's the ode to the desperation of alcoholism, and that's Desperados Under the Eaves from
Wow.
the Warren Zevon self-titled first record. I think it's again
Wow.
like Roland. I think it's such a grand statement and such an accurate thing. And wasn't it in that Nick Cave movie where he was drunk? Weren't they playing that when he was like?
Desperados Under the Eaves. Yeah.
Oh my God! It's just Yeah, man,
It's a great song.
it is. And
It's
if you could,
it's definitely a top 10 song. Next week that might have been my number 3. I don't know. I
I
just don't
love it.
know.
I do love it. I love it to death. And I always, every time I
And
hear it,
that's an off the radar number 1. I'm glad that you took that because it's such a great song, and
oh my God, I love it.
I could have put it even higher. But my number 1 is always been my number 1, and it's Lawyers, Guns, and Money.
Boom. Yeah,
Uh,
I knew it. I left that right out of mine. I knew I should have put it.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, it's
it just
great.
opens so strong, man. I
God.
mean,
Yeah.
I went home with a waitress the way I always do, you know. How was I to know she was with the Russians too? I mean, once again, geopolitical, just
Paranoia,
God.
paranoia too, like you always.
Yeah, I was in Honduras. I'm a desperate man. Send lawyers, guns, and money. The shit has hit the fan. You know what I mean? I mean, it's always gonna it's no matter what, it's always gonna be my number 1 track, maybe number 2, but it's always right there. You
You
know?
know, he always reminded me of like the Revenge of the music written for that guy who was a lawyer for the guy from the crazy motherfucker from Aspen. What was that guy's Hunter
Oh,
Thompson?
Hunter.
Or
Yeah. Well, they
or
were good
big,
friends too. He was friends with Hunter Thompson. You
yeah,
know?
the big cockroach or whatever. It's kind of reminded me of like his. He ended up dying and stuff. His lawyer, the big guy that was the civil rights lawyer, the Mexican guy. But his music always reminded me that had a recklessness of like. And that guy went away. I think that guy went away. Ortega, whatever it is, went away. Revenge of the what cockroach people, whatever it was called. He went away on a boat ride or something, drugs in Mexico, and never came back. Though, but the whole
Yeah,
time,
his
all,
lawyer, and then Thompson killed himself.
yeah,
So,
yeah. During all
uh,
that whole time, though, he's writing the books. He's like spitting up blood and shit all the time. I mean, it's like
oh yeah,
he's
yeah.
got a,
He was. And what? Here's a Thompson tidbit. You remember Marcia from the Underground Railroad that disappeared, right?
who?
The owner of the Underground in Morgantown.
He
Well,
disappeared.
yeah. You've got to follow that story.
Oh,
But Marcia had attempted to book Hunter Thompson at the Underground, but she didn't want to take the risk because he was so flaky, and the fact that she had to be responsible for getting him out of there into the next gig. It was a book signing tour, and she never did, but we volunteered to help out just to get him into town. But Hunter was going to do a night at the Underground, you know, a night
dude,
of Q
what?
and
Talking or what? Or
yeah. Well, he's had had the book, and he was doing a book tour. Like he would get up and do an hour, Q&A and rambling and reading and whatever,
it's a shame you weren't in the underground and knew the people well. You just say, "Hey, can we bring along a drums and some amp and bits of vamp behind him and let him just talk shit?" You know?
No, he would just go out on stage by himself and just do
Wow,
an audience interaction thing. But he was kind of going off the deep end then, and nobody wanted to be responsible, so they canceled the whole thing. But he was coming to Morgantown. She wanted him for that gig.
that's funny,
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah.
Well, we ended up with Hunter S. Thompson, guys, and we're talking about Warrens of Zevon, and so we're talking about it in the same bathwater there.
All intertwined. He was very intertwined with Hunter. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys again for bearing with us with this one here and our Warren Zevon
Yeah.
situation. We'll be back at you guys shortly, and please, like we've said before, leave your list down below. Make sure don't forget to hit the like button and
Absolutely. And leave your top 10 so we could see your top 10 Warren Zevon tracks of all time. Yeah.
that's right. And check out that other Warren Zevon that we did too about the record. There's some neat
Yeah,
conversation.
the record review is on there. We did all the albums, the studio albums. Didn't
That's
do
it.
the live, but did the studio. So
All as always. Now starting to back away from that on some things, but anyway, thank you all again. Thank you all again. Have a good rest of your weekend, and
have a good one. We'll see you
we'll see
soon.
you guys later. Thanks again.
Thanks.